My name is Nora Caldwell, and I'm 35 years old. That night, I stepped out of an Uber outside a packed Atlanta restaurant, and Grandma Rosalind stared past me like something had been stolen. "Why are you arriving in an Uber? What happened to the SUV we bought you for your 35th birthday?" I tried to answer, but my mother smiled at my sister and said her sister needed it more. Everyone froze. Then Grandma did something none of us expected. The restaurant was the kind of place my mother loved because every window reflected money back at her. Valets in white jackets moved between black SUVs and polished sedans. Inside, people laughed over steak, red wine, and the soft clink of crystal. My parents, Victor and Celeste Caldwell, had chosen it for their anniversary dinner because nothing in our family was ever just dinner. It had to look like a magazine spread. I worked in luxury home staging, the kind of work that made empty houses feel warm enough for million-dollar buyers to imagine their lives inside them. I handled contracts, crews, furniture deliveries, last-minute clients, and homes bigger than some hotels. But to my mother, I decorated rooms. To my father, I had a cute business. To Madison, my younger sister, I was useful only when something of mine could become hers. Grandma Rosalind was different. She noticed things. The tiredness behind my makeup, the way I smiled too fast at family dinners, the way Madison always reached first and I always stepped back. On my 35th birthday, Grandma handed me the keys to that SUV in front of everyone and said, "Stop arriving small to rooms you already earned." I almost cried right there. That car was never just leather seats and a shiny hood. It was proof that one person in my family saw me clearly. So, when I arrived without it, I already felt exposed. Madison stood beside Tyler in a pale dress, one hand resting on her stomach like the whole world owed her softness. My mother smelled like expensive perfume and judgment. My father checked his watch, annoyed that drama had arrived before dessert, and Grandma just kept staring at the empty curb behind me. That was the first time I saw fear flicker across my mother's face. My mother recovered first. She lifted her chin, touched Madison's elbow, and gave Grandma that smooth little smile she used when she wanted something ugly to sound reasonable. "Oh, Rosalind, don't look so serious," she said. "Madison needed the SUV more. She has appointments, charity meetings, and with the baby coming, she can't be driving around in that tiny old car." Madison lowered her eyes like a saint in a church painting. Tyler, her husband, grinned at me from behind her shoulder. "Great ride, by the way," he said. "Smooth suspension. The cream seats might need a little cleaning, though. Coffee accident." I felt my face go hot. "You had my car long enough to spill coffee in it," he shrugged. "Technically, the paperwork is still catching up." That was when my father pulled a folded packet from inside his jacket. Victor Caldwell did not raise his voice. He didn't have to. He placed the papers on the table after we sat down, beside my water glass, like a judge laying down a sentence. "Sign it," he said. "We're making the transfer clean." I stared at the signature line. My name was already typed there. "You took my car first," I said slowly, "and now you want me to make it look like I agreed." My mother's smile tightened. "Don't be dramatic, Nora." Madison pressed one hand to her stomach. "I knew you'd make this about you." That sentence hit something old in me, a bedroom I gave up because Madison wanted more closet space, a birthday necklace that ended up around her neck, the college money, almost $75,000. That disappeared into her beach wedding because my parents said family sacrifices. I looked at my father. "You remember my tuition account?" His jaw flexed. "This is not the time." It was never the time. I said. The room went still enough for me to hear ice shifting in Grandma's glass. Then Grandma Rosalind reached into her purse, took out her phone, and called her family attorney right there at the table. "I want all voluntary support to Victor," and Celeste paused immediately. She said, her voice calm as winter. "And I want an emergency audit started tomorrow morning." My mother's face drained. My father stopped breathing. And that was when I knew this was not a family argument. It was a financial trap. I went home that night without screaming, without calling anyone, without giving my family the breakdown they probably expected. I took off my heels by the door. I laid my emerald dress over the back of a chair. Then I sat in the dark living room while the air conditioner hummed above me and Atlanta traffic whispered somewhere below my windows. Her sister needed it more. My mother's voice kept replaying in my head, soft and polished, like she had not just admitted to stealing from me in public. By morning, the anger had turned cold. At 8:12, Grant, my financial director, called me. He never called before coffee unless something was wrong. "Nora," he said, "there's a loan attached to your business records." I stood barefoot in my kitchen, one hand around a mug I hadn't even sipped from. "What loan?" "About $500,000. Opened roughly 3 months ago. It's past due." The mug felt heavier in my hand. "I never signed for that." "I know," Grant said. "That's why I already pulled the paperwork. The signature looks copied. There are internal approvals that don't match our procedures. And there are payments and bills tied to people who should not have access to your accounts." I did not cry. I put the mug down very carefully. By noon, I was sitting across from a financial attorney in a quiet office that smelled like coffee and printer paper. She read the documents with no expression, but her pen stopped moving when she reached the signature page. "This is not a family misunderstanding," she said. "This is potential financial fraud, and if your grandmother's money or authority was used without her clear consent, there may also be elder financial abuse concerns." The words landed hard. Elder financial abuse. I thought of Grandma Rosalind sitting at family dinners while everyone talked over her. I thought of my father kissing her cheek, then asking about trust distributions before dessert. I thought of my mother calling her confused whenever Grandma asked too many questions. That afternoon, I drove to Grandma's house. She was in the sunroom, trimming white roses into a glass vase. Her hands shook slightly, but her eyes were clear. "I wondered how long it would take you to find the loan," she said. My chest tightened. "You knew." "I suspected," she said. "Your father has been draining more than pride from this family." Then she opened a drawer and gave me a folder. Inside were legal papers, account summaries, and proof that I had oversight rights in part of the family assets. "They needed your signature on that SUV," Grandma said, "because they needed you to look compliant." I closed the folder, and for the first time in my life, I stopped asking why they did not love me better. I started asking what the law would allow me to protect. The gala was 3 nights later, in a downtown Atlanta ballroom with marble floors, gold lighting, and perfume thick enough to taste. My mother had built her whole personality around that room. Celeste stood near the entrance in a silver gown, kissing cheeks, laughing too loudly. My father hovered near the stage, checking his cufflinks like a man trying to look rich enough to outrun a bad decision. Madison sat at the front table, one hand on her stomach. Tyler stood beside her, smiling like the night belonged to him. My seat card was near the service doors, close enough to smell butter from the kitchen. I almost laughed, even after stealing my car and using my name. My mother still wanted me hidden, so I walked past that table. I walked straight to the front. The room shifted when people noticed me. I wore a midnight blue gown that moved like water, and around my neck was Grandma Rosalind's diamond collar, the one my mother had begged to wear. Celeste saw it first. Her smile cracked. She crossed the room so fast her earrings shook. "Take that off," she whispered. "You have no right." "Grandma gave it to me." "That necklace belongs to this family." "So do I said. "You forgot that part." Her face hardened. "Do not embarrass me tonight. Nora, I'm not the one who should be worried." Then I sat at the front table, my father's table. Madison leaned toward me, eyes wet on command. "Can't you let one night be about someone else?" I looked at her hand on her stomach. "That's what I've been doing my whole life." Tyler laughed. "You really do have main character syndrome." I turned to him. "And you have frozen accounts." His smile vanished. The lights dimmed. My father stepped onto the stage. The crowd quieted with the obedience of people who had paid $500 a plate to feel generous. "Tonight," Victor announced, Our family foundation enters a new era. He spoke about legacy, vision, community. Every word sounded polished and hollow. Then he turned toward Tyler like he was presenting royalty. My son-in-law, Tyler Reed, will help guide our next chapter. We are prepared to commit approximately $2 million toward his technology initiative. Applause filled the ballroom. Tyler stood, ready for his coronation. That was when my attorney walked in, not alone. Beside her were 2 financial investigators and a court officer carrying a sealed packet. They did not storm in. They simply moved down the center aisle with quiet authority. My father stopped speaking. The microphone caught his breath. My attorney reached the stage. Mr. Caldwell, this pledge must be paused pending review. Celeste shot to her feet. Who allowed this? I did, I said. Every head turned toward me. The event manager stepped forward. Under the risk control clause, any charitable transfer connected to suspected financial misconduct may be halted by legal notice. My father stared at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw fear arrive before anger. You ungrateful little girl, he said into the microphone before he realized it was still on. The whole room heard it. I stood. I'm not little, Dad, and I'm done being grateful for being robbed politely. Celeste rushed toward me. This is a family matter. No, I said. A stolen SUV was a family matter, but a loan opened under my business records for about $500,000, with a copied signature and money routed through people who had no authority. That is evidence. Tyler stepped back from the stage lights. Madison grabbed his sleeve. Say something. He swallowed. This is a misunderstanding. My attorney opened the packet. There are also payments and bills tied to accounts Ms. Caldwell did not authorize, plus attempted transfers linked to tonight's pledge. My mother turned on me with performance tears shining in her eyes. How could you do this to your sister? There it was again, her favorite shield. I looked at Celeste. Her sister needed it more. She flinched. That sentence cost you everything. Mom, because it made me check what else you thought she needed more than me. Tyler cracked first. This was Victor's idea, he said, pointing at my father. He said Nora never paid attention to paperwork. He said she would sign anything if the family pushed hard enough. My father lunged toward him. Shut your mouth. But Tyler was sweating now, and panic makes cowards honest. You came to me, Tyler said. You wanted the tech project to make the foundation look modern. You needed the money moved before the audit. Madison stood so fast her chair hit the floor. Tyler, stop talking. He turned on her. You knew. You said Nora got too much sympathy from Grandma. You said that money should have gone to us. Madison rushed toward the stage, one hand pressed to her stomach, the other reaching for his microphone. Give me that. He pulled away. Her heel caught the stage step, and she stumbled against the podium. Her pink dress shifted. Something beneath the fabric slid out of place. Then the padded belly she had been clutching for weeks dropped onto the stage floor. The sound it made was small. The silence after it was not. Someone whispered, "Oh my God!" Cameras clicked. Madison froze, staring at the floor like she could will the truth back under her dress. Celeste made a strangled sound. Then Grandma Rosalind rose from the second row. She walked slowly, leaning on her cane. The room parted for her without being asked. Nora acted with my full knowledge, she said. Victor no longer has authority to move foundation funds while this review is active, and my granddaughter has every legal right to protect what this family tried to take from her. My mother looked at me, desperate and furious. You're still my daughter. I held her gaze. I was your daughter when you took my college money. I was your daughter when you stole my birthday gift. I was your daughter when you smiled and said she needed it more. You just didn't remember until there were witnesses. The investigators asked Victor and Tyler to leave the stage with them. Madison sank into a chair, sobbing. Celeste stood alone under the gold lights, surrounded by everyone she had tried to impress. And for the first time, I did not feel small. I stood beside Grandma Rosalind, hands steady, heart quiet, while the family that taught me to disappear finally had nowhere left to hide. The weeks after the gala felt quiet in a way I did not trust at first. No screaming calls from my mother, no guilt-soaked messages from Madison, no clipped warnings from my father about loyalty, inheritance, or family reputation. Just silence. Then the legal results came in one by one. The review confirmed the copied signature, the unauthorized loan, the improper payments, and the attempted transfer from the foundation. Victor was removed from financial control and placed under court supervision while the case moved forward. Tyler's accounts connected to the scheme were frozen, and his shiny technology project collapsed the moment real auditors asked real questions. Madison disappeared from social media for the first time in her life. Celeste resigned from every committee she used to treat like a throne. Grandma Rosalind did not celebrate. That surprised me. I found her one morning in her sunroom, trimming white roses into a glass vase, the same way she had before everything broke open. Only this time, her hands were steady. "I should have stopped him sooner," she said. I sat beside her. "You stopped him when it mattered." She looked at the roses for a long time. "No, sweetheart, you did. I sold the SUV through a charity auction. Not because I hated it, but because I needed it to become something better than a stolen birthday gift. The money helped start a small transportation fund for women rebuilding their lives after financial control and family abuse. The first thank you letter came from a woman who said she could finally drive herself to work without asking the person who hurt her for permission. I cried over that letter harder than I cried over anything my family did. Because justice is not always loud. Sometimes it sounds like car keys in a woman's hand. Sometimes it looks like a grandmother sleeping peacefully after years of watching wolves eat at her table. And sometimes it feels like walking into a room you paid for, built for, survived for, and no longer shrinking when people turn to stare. Real love does not steal from you and call it sacrifice. Real family does not take your voice, your money, your dignity, and then ask why you finally drew a line. I learned that boundaries are not cruelty, they are protection. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is stop explaining your pain to people who benefited from it. If you've ever had to protect yourself or someone you love from your own family, share your story in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.